Hi there, please welcome back Director Janem P. So I'd like to open up questions to the audience, but first, just to get started, well, I wonder, maybe just a quick show of hands, how many of you know about the painter in the film? Because maybe we need to get the, okay, well, a number of you. Okay, so then I'm going to jump to a different question. So obviously the film is not told in sort of a traditional narrative biopic kind of way. It's more scenes and snippets over the years. Why tell the story that way as opposed to a more linear narrative?
Well, it is linear.
I love chronological.
Yeah, but I got interested as a, I would say, young filmmaker into this story a couple of years ago, and I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. And I went to Samok to their hometown to look for details, information. And I met with the head of Historical Museum of Samok, who was actually helping us with the film later. And we met and we talked, and I realized that it's not about telling just the story of a guy who painted that kind of painting, that there's got to be something more in it. And at that time, I just let it go for a while, because I didn't have an idea for a form of it. And 3 years ago, I came back to this family, and I found out the script written by Robert Bolesto, and it was already called The Last Family. And it was already about the, I would say, Warsaw period of their history. And the idea was to tell a story about a family who disappears one by one in one place. Well, basically that's the 2 apartments close to each other. That was one of the ideas behind what Robert wrote. And I really liked the idea because it was letting it out of the box with just the Matuszyński family story.
Questions? I'm going to ask, okay, we have a quick hand right there.
I'm just wondering, what got you so interested in this subject, particularly? How did you first, they're very well known in Poland, but what got you, so you must have known about them for a long time, but what triggered you to make a movie about them?
So what specifically triggered you to make a film about him?
Yeah, you know, that wasn't like the only story that I wanted to tell. It was one of 100, I would say. And the main thing here was that I'm not a writer-director. I'm not writing at all. I don't want to do that. I think that's somebody else's work. I like to have somebody to talk to. And that actually means that I have to find a script or tell somebody to write for me. And in that case, I was looking, because that's my first narrative feature, so I was looking for a good script for a couple of years, and I found this one. And that's basically because the whole thing about the Bakshinsky family was, of course, behind it, but it wasn't the main thing for me. The main thing for me was to get a great script and yeah, to have a great script to work on.
What was it about the script specifically, if you can kind of narrow it down? What really interested you in this family?
Well, I would say that that's a million things, you know, in it. Of course, 3 great characters, totally different, in the same moment, really tricky and normal, which and it was a great thing to work on with the actors. the other thing that they are really an unusual family, and they are really, really, yeah, I can say that this is probably one of the, or this is probably the best documented family ever, because Zdzisław Beksiński started to record his family on the tape recorder in 1957. So that was quite a long time ago. Until that moment, he was recording in a very different way, almost all the time. So we had tons of materials that we could go through. It took a while. It was mostly the screenwriter's work to go to find the way, the sketch for the whole thing, and then we went through those materials, me by myself with actors, and that was a really great journey because, yeah, I smiled before the screening when you said about the documentary, because there's a lot of documentary ways of doing the film in this film, because we used a lot of those archives. They were really inspiring us in so many different ways. Every scene is based on something. Sometimes it's exactly 100% what really happened. Sometimes we link something that we know that happened on or could have happened, and we put it in the scene.
Yes, right there. Yep.
Hi, first of all, great movie, congratulations. You won the Festival in Gdańsk award as well, if I remember well. What was it?
How many awards did you win?
8.
Yeah.
Eight awards.
So, it's a great movie. The story is well known in Poland, and if you, I don't know, as old as we are in our 30s, it was a tragic event in 1999 for Tomasz dying, and then later on the terrible murder of Beksiński. So great job. I have a question, and you may know that. I'm sure you do. How much Bolesto, well, maybe if he did, how much did he base his script on the book written by? It was Beksiński Double Portrait.
Yes.
Was there a collaboration at all? It's
There was a book published 2.5, yeah, spring 2014, I think.
Grzebiałkowska, I believe.
Yeah, by Magdalena Grzebiałkowska, but the book was written after the script was done.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite possible that she
Right.
read the script, but Robert Bolesto didn't really care about the book because it didn't happen at that time.
Okay. No, I'm just.
But we had to be very careful with the book, because it's a real story. But yeah, we had to just go around the book all during the whole production, because we didn't want to get the impression that this is an adaptation of this book.
Right, but it's funny how it coincided, right? Two and a half.
Yeah, well, in Poland we have that's actually not the only publication about this family. We have, I think we have at least 5 different books about Beksiński family. Nowadays there's a book about Tomek. There's the diaries of Zdzisław came out like a few months back, and some other things. The first book about them was the one written by Piotr Mochowski, which was used in the film.
Other questions? Yeah, sir.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you about Tomasz Beksiński. What I've been getting, like a lot of reactions from people who did know Tomasz Beksiński. I never got a chance to know him, but a lot of people they know we're his friends. We go to school with him. We have been in college or worked with him in the radio. A lot of people are reacting quite negatively about the portrayal of, about how they think he was too crazy. He was too emotional with some scenes, and I don't want to think this way, because like, well, because even while they were his friends, they might have not they were not seeing the footage that you that you had the chance to see, and the people who worked with you. But can you say anything about that? If you feel like you might have done it some other way in order to portray Tomek differently.
Well, with both of them actually. With Zdzisław and Tomek, this is the same case. They had a lot of faces, and with every friend, with every member of the family, we had a lot of statements in which it was like they're talking to about different people. And with Zdzisław Beksiński, it's easier to understand it, but with Tomek, there is a strong, really huge difference between how he was reacting on what was happening when he was, for example, in radio and in his, family house. We knew that it won't be, happy for everybody. We went, Robert, Dawid Ogrodnik, the actor, and me, we went through everything we could about him, and well, we have some kind of reactions, like you said, but I don't want to go into details because this is really a private matter of him. But I can say that it's not. That's not all about him. It was worse than it's in the film.
Can I just ask a question about the film? About the character, because
Sure.
in the film he's a character, and I didn't know the real person or much anything about the story. But there was something you said earlier. We were talking before about how this character is conceived, and I'm curious, like how, because he does seem kind of very extreme, and yet you created a kind of path for him. I think in terms of understanding this character, how do you sort of conceive the character in a way that's not extreme, because he's more than that?
Yeah, well, it's actually about everything that is in the film. When Robert was thinking about writing the script, it was before I got it to my hands, he went through all the archives he could. And he found out that the key is death in every way. So he started to select material with this perspective, and of course a lot of things got out of the story quite fast. And I think it happened in a similar way with the characters. You don't see Zdzisław as a great painter in the film at first place. That's like what I said before. Before we came here. It's like the paintings are just hanging on the wall, and I understand that someone might have expected that he would see him. I don't know, like Turner in Mike Lee's Mr. Turner, for example. Yeah, but that was not that wasn't that kind of story for me. And with Tomek Beksiński, it was like he was really how did you say, extreme? Yeah. I would say, yeah, really wide range neurotic type, and he was just getting smaller, or he was just I think, and that's my interpretation, right? He actually was closing inside into his cave, and that was one of the ideas for the whole character in the film. And here it's a bit harder to talk about, because in Poland we have so many different perspectives because of the book, and there is a documentary coming about them, I hope next year. But the whole idea for the film was to go over the story of Beksiński, to tell a universal story about those characters, about the family, but it's not like really connected that much to Beksiński.
Other questions? Yes?
I just want to say that the film demonstrates exceptional directorial control on your part. The choice of the confined spaces, the top lighting, the way you manage the performance of the ensemble cast, it's a masterful piece. It's evocative of Michael Haneke, the Austrian director, and I wondered what your stylistic influences were to come up with this powerful piece.
So questions about his stylistic influences, mentions, praises the film in a number of ways in terms of the direction.
Thank you for that. Thank you for this question. Well, Michael Haneke is one of my favorites, but it's just one of them. I watched before I started to work on The Last Family. I watched the console films, and I'm pretty sure they all are somewhere deep inside me. I can say that Haneke's is one of my favorites, but it's also Paul Thomas Anderson, for example. It's some parts of Michael Mann's films also. I heard in Locarno, this is a great compliment that I heard, one of my favorites actually. That I'm a fan of Paul Greengrass's films. I haven't seen, that's one of the films I haven't seen, is the new Jason Bourne. But I heard that the plane crash is better than every action scene in Jason Bourne, which is one of the. Yeah. Anyway, I'm saying that because there's a wide range of things that inspired me, that I know that sort of inspired me, or there are some subconsciously somewhere deep. So it's also we watched with the cinematographer sometime during the pre-production of the film, 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, for example, because of the long master shots. I thought about the scene when Machowski is entering the apartment for the first time as something between the grill scene in Secret and Lies by Mike Lee and Carnage by Polanski, because there's a huge scene in the corridor. And with every scene there is some kind of inspiration, and there is another layer to that, because Tomek was a really, as you saw in the film, he was a totally film freak, and he loved James Bond films. He also loved, for example, that was more even. He really thought that he's some of the characters from films he saw. For example, he had at a time, I don't remember now how long, that he thought that he's Pink from Alan Parker's The Wall. I mean, that he's the real character. He really liked The Tenant by Polanski, and there was one more. Oh, and that's a great story also about the plane crash. He thought that Peter Weir stole his story and put it into a film called Fearless. Fearless. So, well, next year probably I will go to Australia. I hope I will have an opportunity to ask. Anyway, there's really a lot of things that inspired us and that we talked about, and I'm pretty sure that it's somewhere in this film. Yeah.
Other question? Yes.
Yes, I have a question and a comment. When the movie was released, everything was said already by the much more famous guy, but A, why was he in reality murdered? Did they catch the guy? B, I saw it in a symbolic fashion. Is the son coming back to murder the father? Because the father actually possibly could have saved the son when he first didn't answer and he came to the door, but then he didn't get in, he didn't call the paramedics, because there was a wish there not so hidden for the son to be gone.
So the question was two parts. Why was he murdered? Was the person ever caught? And is there some symbolism there in terms of the son maybe killing the father? Did I get that right?
Well, agreed that the film has to be realistic, so we couldn't actually go to any. We couldn't actually go deep into any theories. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to leave space, leave freedom for the viewers to decide whether there is some kind of a link theory or whatever. But we're after the screening, so I can say that answering to the second part, I wanted in a way for the viewer to have an opportunity to think about the link between those two, because you may, okay, nobody actually asked about the title, so I'm gonna. There are several interpretations of the title. One of them is that the last family, and this is one of my favorites. It doesn't mean that was the main idea, but one of the interpretations is that the last family is not about Beksiński family, but it's about the murder's family. And this is really interesting in terms of thinking about the son coming back to murder the father. Because in a way, I would say that was, metaphorically speaking, true, because that was the son of the guy who helped him during a couple of years. And about the murderer, well, he was caught quite fast because he was trying to clean the flat after he brought the body to the balcony. And he did it really not in a professional way, not at all. He left some blood on the floor and whatever. And you saw the apartment, it was quite precise, everything had its place. And the cleaning staff was in a specific place, and a lot of friends who were coming into this apartment during the years, they didn't even know where those cleaning stuff is. So there were like, I think, 4 people that could know that really. They got him. He's in jail. He got 30 years, I think, in jail. And why he did it? Well, there is a theory which is, for example, in the book of Grzebałkowska, that he came there to get money from Beksiński. He didn't want to give him the money, and that's why he killed him. But I don't believe in that, because it doesn't make sense. And there's another theory, which is more, that's less realistic, but it's more interesting from my point of view, is that the guy had some kind of a connection with a mob gang or something, or some criminals, and that was some kind of initiation murder. And yeah, and this is like the second theory. The third theory, which is linked to the second one, is that, and I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Not maybe this the real reason, but that was because of frustration. And well, you can find maybe a different way to find the reason why he did it. We didn't want to tell that in the film because that's not a mystery murder story. I wanted to treat the guy as a symbol, and that's why he's actually not talking at all. He had more dialogue when we were shooting, but we cut it out because the less he speaks, the more interesting it is as a scene.
We have time for one more? No, we wrap it up? One more, yes.
Maybe one more. It would be again about Tomek. As you know, the new documentary is going to be about Tomek Beksiński and soon will be released, but right now we have only your movie, which is great. And my question is about Tomek. And do you think the controversial about him is helping the movie or no?
So, question about whether the controversy, which I guess is, you mean in terms of his portrayal of Tomek, is that helping or hurting your movie?
I don't know. Well, you know, those comments, if it's like somebody who worked with him in the radio says that he remembered him in a different way, and that's okay for me. But if somebody is saying that the guy in the film is an idiot, I can't agree with that kind of opinion, because that for me means that he didn't watch the film in a way I would like to. I mean, yeah, because that's too straight to the point thinking. That's not what it's about. And the documentary that is in production now, it's not about Tomek actually. It's about all of them. They don't really know. I heard there was an idea, but I'm not sure if that's still on. That the film will be from the wife's perspective, from Zosia Beksińska's perspective, which could be very interesting. The only thing I can say about this documentary is that I'm waiting for it because it will be based only on the archive footage shot by the family. And this would be from, for example, from the formal point of view, very, very interesting. And I know this material actually, well, during one of our first conversations with the screenwriter, we said that, you know, we have a great script for 2 hours, but that's not enough. We could do 3 seasons of the TV series with that, and it would be great, because the whole history of the family before they came to Warsaw is also great to be told on screen. And with this documentary, we were actually thinking about doing a documentary in, how do you say, simultaneously. But we didn't do that because we knew that they are already working on it, and Tomek Szwan, who is one of the directors of this film, they say that, but I think it's more. And I actually, because we're in contact, because Tomek helped us with this film, and I'm helping in a totally different way with their film. Actually, yesterday I got them more material, and it's from somebody who they didn't expect to get anything actually. So well, I like that the story continues. Yeah, that there will be more things about this family, because, and coming back to your question, this film is an interpretation. It's my point of view, and I'm totally okay with any other if it's on the right, artistic level.
You can talk after, yeah? Okay. Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you very much.